Welcome, everybody. It's time once again for the next chapter with Charlie Hedges as he explores turning the page on his life and yours. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Paul. I can't wait to interview our very special guest today, Felicia Searcy, who is a transformational life and business coach. Widely known as the Impact Multiplier, Felicia's purpose is to empower you to discover and express your extraordinary life. I so agree with Felicia's approach to coaching. That is, understanding the ABCs of personal development in a way that demands action and personal responsibility, all with the goal of turning your dreams into real-life experiences. Felicia has been given a calling to bring powerful spiritual principles to entrepreneurs that guide them to multiply their impact as they build their business. With that, let's welcome four-time award-winning coach, international speaker, author, and minister, Felicia Searcy, onto our show. Felicia, welcome to the next chapter with Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. It's so much fun to be here.
Yeah, I really can't wait. I'm very excited about what we're going to talk about. I so enjoyed speaking with you earlier and pursuing and perusing your fabulous, informative website at FeliciaSearcy.com. So what I'd like to do is let's begin our time together with this. What is a transformational coach?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, right? So what is it exactly that we mean by transformation? The thing that I mean by that is that you experience such a depth of change that you can't go back. Think of it this way. Every day we change our clothes, right? You know, your PJs, and then you put your street clothes on, or, you know, your professional clothes. But you're changing your clothes, but you have not fundamentally changed. When you transform, it's like, you know, excuse the cliche example, a caterpillar going to a butterfly. That butterfly will never go back to its caterpillarness, that it evolved into this next level iteration of itself, this dynamic iteration, to such a degree that it can't revert, it can't return. And so transformation is the point of no return, where you so embody the change that you literally walk around in a new skin, in a new dynamic, like there's a rarefied air that you're functioning from. And that's what I want to help people discover.
That's fascinating. I've never heard of transformation that way, that you don't return, you have become almost a transformed entity, a new entity that becomes you, and you become that. I like that definition really well. I think that's very good.
Good.
You know what? I have a handful of questions that I want to ask, and I'm really excited about your responses. You write about, I love this, trusting the power of your dream. Yeah. So many of us struggle with believing in ourselves, which may be one of the greatest challenges any of us will ever face. Tell me, what do you mean by trusting in the power of your dream?
Yeah, so one of the things I help people understand is that you don't have a dream. A dream has been given to you, that a dream is revealed to you. It is truly a divine inspiration. It's a divine download. And with that, as you give yourself permission to really hear the dream, key piece of the reason for the dream, number one, is to help you discover more of who you are created to be. And number two, to deepen your awareness in your relationship with this life, this connection with this life force energy that's moving through you. It created you. It's all around you. So when you let yourself be in that place of, wow, what is this dream that's, revealing to me? And what if I really could do this? Then you're coming into a partnership with this life force energy, and you really come to realize, and this is the process of continuing that deeper realization, that you are given everything required to grow into the person who can live into this dream and actually bring it into fruition. So your dream literally begins to take on a life of its own. It guides you, it informs you, it directs you, it inspires you, and it brings to you everything required in order to be able to successfully bring it into fruition. So that's what I mean by trust the power. Your dream has a life force energy of its own. And when you succumb to that, now you're allowing the dream to be the driver, because what you're really allowing to be the driver is this divine intelligence that gave you the dream in the first place.
You know, that is so important, and yet it is so difficult with especially younger. When you're younger, you're so influenced by your peers, by your parents. This is what you should be. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And it is rare to find the parent that will allow the child to express their inner core desires, goals, objectives, and how do you help people understand? Because I think I believe in what you believe, that you are given a dream. How do you access that in spite of all of the distractions by other people?
Yeah, and that's the spiritual mastery, right? And so it's truly a courageous, tip of the arrow person who's willing to acknowledge, first of all, discontent, right? And so many of us have been trained to override the discontent, that we've been taught that to be discontent is to be ungrateful, and to be dissatisfied is to somehow say that that this is an indictment on our life, that there's something wrong with our lives. And so the place to start is to really acknowledge that your life is speaking to you, that there are areas that are beginning to pinch. There are areas where you're making, something okay that's really no longer okay. And it's not an indictment. It's not a judgment on what your life currently is. It's understanding that there is this energy that created, this universal energy that created all of us and is inviting all of us to discover more of ourselves. And so it's creating an environment for people to really look deep and notice the edges where their lives are talking to them. The other thing is to understand that there are immutable laws that govern our results. These universal laws are real. They're as real as electricity. They're as real as gravity. Many people distill it down into a single law called the law of attraction, which is actually a secondary law. The true law is the law of vibration. So coming to understand how these laws work as we work in partnership with this divine energy. And so so here's the thing that I tell people. This is not about necessarily believing in yourself. That comes later. Here's where to build the belief. Build the belief that we truly have been given this system, and that there are established laws that will support us in creating what it is that we want. To believe that there are these laws, to believe in your capacity to create, that we have been given this unprecedented gift to be able to imagine new and different possibilities. And we're using our imagination all the time. In fact, most people use their imagination to terrorize themselves. When we really begin to understand that our imagination is the genesis, it's the 0.0 of all of our creation, and that we've been given this amazing gift to be able to entertain new possibilities in our imagination, and to trust the power of that, to trust the power of this gift that we've been given, and then to trust this life force energy that wove us into existence from the very fabric of itself. That's like the trifecta. You used the word Trinity when you and I were speaking. That's the Trinity of belief. And when you know that you're standing on the foundation of all of that, then you can believe in yourself, because you realize it's not you that you're really believing in. You're believing in something so much bigger that's expressing and expanding through you. And that's a process to build the belief in those three things.
Yeah, I so agree. You know what I'm wondering is, what point in life are we ready to understand and accept these energies and this new dimension that is different from what we've been taught in school, taught by our peers, and taught by our relationships, and taught in society? When does this begin, Felicia? Is this something that begins really young, or does it happen with age? As you mature, it becomes clearer and clearer. Is there a time in there that clarity emerges?
It's such an interesting question, and I really think that it's a unique individual thing. That I know people, I know young adults that were raised in this philosophy, in this, I don't even know if philosophy is the right word, but in this teaching. And they're, they seem to be fearless and trusting the process and trusting what it is that they really want. And then there are others, that will struggle. I've got clients. In fact, I was just talking to one that she's been with me now 6 years, and she was 31 when she started. And I think that the threshold for tolerating pain is coming down. That people coming up. I mean, I'll be 60. How old am I? I'll be 63 next month. Let's think about it for a second. I'll be 63 next month. And I think that there are, we're coming up in an era where younger people have less of a tolerance for dissatisfaction, and they're willing to let their lives speak to them, and they know that there's something bigger. And then I've got people that will come in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and I've even had people in their 70s and 80s where all of a sudden they realize, wow, there really is so much more. And I've had a really good life, and there's more. And so I just, we have no idea what the timing is, right? And I don't know why some people, like I discovered it when I was 22. I don't know why some people discover it when they're younger and why it takes longer. And it's magic whenever people discover this.
Yeah, it's so true. And it is so difficult in our sort of objective and destination-oriented way of thinking. It is so difficult for many, if not all of us, in the early stages, to actually trust the process and know the process is never going to be what we have projected. It's the process, since it's divine energy, the process is unknown to us, and we have to just wait and allow it to happen. And that is difficult for strong egos, control-oriented. Yeah. That just gets in the way of the process, and there's a lot of dissatisfaction as a result.
Yeah, and so first of all, it doesn't happen to us, right? It happens with us, and we definitely are taking a very active role. One of the things that I help people understand is that dreaming up what a life that you would love is an active activity. Putting on who your dream is asking you to become is an active. It's active. It's not passive. It's active. And then, and then physically taking action. And so, here's the thing about this desire. It's going to disrupt. It's going to disrupt the status quo. And so one of the things that I help people understand is that in order to harness the energy required to move yourself forward in the face of fear and doubt and awkwardness and maybe a history that says things don't work out for me, you have to have a burning desire, a white, hot, cold desire. because we're not going to go for something unless we are literally obsessed with it, that we are, compelled to do this. So the real courage starts in giving yourself permission to really want something. That it's, we've been so trained to tap our desires down, and in the spiritual world, it's like, desire is the root of all suffering. And by the way, it's not desire, it's attachment to how it's going to show up.
That's a great distinction.
Yeah. So we've been taught not to want something. And what I'm saying is, want it with every fiber of your being, because what you're wanting is the higher expression of you and your deeper connection with this life force energy, and the dream is the catalyst to put you in the middle of that. And oh, by the way, you also get really great results that you love, which is really okay to enjoy the fruits of your process and very real tangible results.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about that you I don't know if I read it on your website or if I listened to it, because you have excellent YouTube videos on your website that are very, very helpful. And somewhere, I don't know if I read it or saw the video, but you talked about, my words, the power of doubt, and that if we are working, and I also loved your idea of a partnership. It is a cooperative between, in my view, it's a cooperative between me and the divine. The divine, it is a partnership, and we both have our roles, and in that process, if I'm given a role or a vision or a dream of what I want to do, it is actually, the way you put it, and I'd like you to explain it, is the power of doubt. It's okay to doubt that if we really want it. And talk about that, because I think we're so afraid of doubting that means, it's not real. But you talk about doubting as a positive aspect.
Yeah, so think of it this way. When we dream into something so expansive that we've never known for ourselves before, and you activate doubt, it's actually good news, because it means you've bumped up against an edge of yourself that you don't know about yourself, right? I don't know, when I first learned how to drive, especially a Standard, when I first learned how to drive a Standard, it was awkward. It was uncomfortable. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get across the road. In fact, I remember we were in Baton Rouge and my little brother was with me, and I couldn't get the thing into gear. And he literally just got out of the car so frustrated and walked over, to where our parents were staying at the time. And I was filled with doubt. And I was learning something new. I was engaged in something that wasn't habitual. And that's where transformation happens. Transformation happens at the geography line of the known and the unknown. And if I'm not functioning with some doubt, I'm not saying that you're going to live there. And, part of the work that I do is helping people really, lean into the doubt and transform the doubt in the moment by moment, to where you habituate a deeper level of calm confidence as you move through your world before the facts start giving you permission to do this. When we activate doubt, it's good news, because it means you're entertaining something for yourself that your normal self would never imagine. And you're effectively, if you go for it, you're raising your hand and you're saying, okay, I'm willing to let this be the transformative process. I'm willing to let this thing transform me at depth, that the fear is an indication of me not knowing this, not knowing myself, and I'm willing to do this for the sake of my own growth and evolution. I'm willing to be doubtful and afraid for the sake of this thing that's seeking to come through me.
It reminds me of when I first became a consultant. I had been working. I worked real jobs until I was about 40, and then after that, I've spent everything on my own. I've been employed by my self-employed. I've not had an office to go to, no one to report to, and I began this process doing training, and I trained Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and different training courses that I did for a large oil company. Actually, I was a contract trainer for Chevron. Then people started asking me, do you do what you teach? Because I did courses like facilitative leadership and strategic planning, and say, do you actually do this in companies? Because they liked my training, and I said, of course I do. And as a consultant, the one thing you never say is, I don't do that. You say, I do. When someone asks, do you do this? You say, yes. And then you get busybody and you just start figuring out what the hell it is you're going to do. And that there's such unknown, but for me, that generates such energy. The unknown drives me to figure, there's two 3-letter acronym. I don't know if they're acronyms, but 2 3-letter acronyms, let's call them, that I would like behind my name instead of PhD or EDD. I want FSO and GSD. And pardon the language, but FSO, you figure shit out. And then the other one is you get shit done. So that's what I want. I want Charlie Hedges, FSO, GSD. And that is, that's the beauty of not knowing and leaning into, as you said, leaning into this new opportunity, which becomes very creative, very productive, and doubting at first, wondering, is this going to work? I just made this up. And it is thrilling, and so doubt and new and unknown are resident within me, and that's why I so agree with them, and I love what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an indicator that you're growing edge, and it's learning how to sequester the doubt rather than believing the doubt, right? And that's the journey of, again, deepening your relationship, really let yourself hear what is it that you would love, deepening your relationship with this life force energy, and beginning to see yourself as that person before your world gives you permission.
Yes, before the world gives you permission.
Yeah.
The permission is internal. The permission is, it's in that divine partnership. And it's a matter of, it's a belief system. And so I want to go on to a new question, because you talked about this life force energy, and I read something, I read up on you, so you've been researched, and you have written that you came upon the idea that our goal is not about changing things, but about changing ourselves and our relationship with our life force energy. I love that. It's not about changing things, because your sphere of influence, you change very few things, but you can change yourself. And I like this changing or adapting to the relationship of a life force energy. That's deep stuff. I'd love for you to enlighten me on not changing things, but changing ourselves and our relationship to our life force energy.
Yeah, so most of us have been trained to believe that if there's a situation that is not to our liking, if we change the situation, then everything will be okay. I call it condition-based thinking. It's happening. We believe that it's happening outside of us. When we understand that we are the point of origin, that our world evolves around us. It organizes around us. There's Thomas Troward was an amazing metaphysical writer back at the turn of the last century, and he had a line where he says, "My mind is a center of divine operation." When we understand that we're at the center of what's ever happening, and that what we're engaging with in terms of our circumstances, it's the pattern by which we've been living and by the way that we are interacting with our circumstances. And we can change circumstances, but we're going to keep taking ourselves with us. It's what I talk about when people talk about, oh my God, the law of attraction, I believe it, I'm a great manifester. And they go from manifestation to manifestation to manifestation, but they keep bringing themselves, the same self along. They may change their circumstances, but their life doesn't change.
Yeah, no matter where you go, you are there.
That's it. And you can get the car, you can get the job, you can get the money in the bank, you can get the lover, and yet you're still living in that same pattern of, whatever the experience was. When we understand that the call is to deepen our awareness of who we really are and to dig deep and to discover new dynamic elements about ourselves and to grow ourselves into this even more dynamic being that we are created to be, as we, connect and partner with this life force energy, that sense of communion and companionship, we change. Goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, the transformation. You transform, and then you understand that the real gift is who you've become. Your world will reorganize. It's law. Your world has to reorganize, and you're able to be so much more present for that growth, those new results, because you understand that your well-being is not dependent on those things. It's because of your deeper sense of well-being that these are able to come into existence. So you understand that true love, abundance, and freedom does not come from a changed result. It comes because you understand the process of that changed result and who you've become through that process.
Oh my, that is so good. That is so true. I've written a few blogs on a bit on this subject. Not exactly, but relating to this subject. And it's very common for people to say, it's not about you. Life is not about you. It's about serving other people and doing whatever. And I have said, just right in line with what you were saying, it is about you. Your life is about you, because as I mentioned before, everywhere you go, you are there, and you can't help but be sort of the center point, the focal point of it. And you can take two directions. You can take several directions, but you can take the narcissistic view that it's all about me attaining and making me better, or it's all about me and my desire to improve myself, to endorse and accept other resources, other ways of thinking. So I really agree that your life is all about you.
Yeah, we're at the center, right? We're the center. Right now, I'm at the center of my life.
Yes.
And when I put focus on me and how I'm showing up, that then radiates out. And here's the other thing, Charlie, that I find is that people will often remove themselves from the equation. Like somehow it's not spiritual to want things. It's not spiritual to improve your quality of life. And so it's all about serving, which, believe me, service is my center stream. And you need to put yourself in the equation, that it includes you, that you get to enjoy and benefit and revel in, the growth and the changes and, the things that you desire in your life.
Yeah.
So it's not an either or.
No.
It's not even a both and. It's one. As you grow according to this, this trajectory to this spiritual principle, your life transforms, and you transform. Your life improves, and you are providing that level of service to the people around you just by simply who you're becoming. That is so
true. My listeners know I'm on a spiritual journey that follows the late medieval Christian mystics, and you are sounding very much like a Christian mystic right now, and that it is, again, the partnership, but it begins with you and how you grow and relate to the world and to the divine. And with that, what I want to do is take a break, and then if you think we've been deep so far, we're getting deeper, everybody. This is one of those ones where somebody says we're going to go deep and we're going to stay down long. So what I want to do is take a brief break, and then we'll come back and pursue these wonderful thoughts. Hi there, this is Charlie Hedges, and you are listening to The Next Chapter with Charlie. And my very special guest is Felicia Searcy. When we are talking, I said we're going down deep and staying down long, and my producer on the break said, "Get your snorkels out, your oxygen mask, because we are going down deep." But we'll start off light, and then the next question gets deeper. But I resonated with something you said, and you call yourself an impact multiplier. And that's such a lovely sounding concept. I like that, impact multiplier. I think we're all about making an impact. Talk to me, what is an impact multiplier?
Yeah, and it's actually a spiritual impact multiplier. And
is it? Okay.
Really, yeah. So the process is understanding that when you pay attention to your longing and your discontent, and you allow it to inform the desire, the dream, and you devote yourself to living into this dream, the act of building your dream multiplies your impact and spiritual impact, because you have to be in partnership with the power, this life force energy. And as we've been talking, you grow in the process, and that's what truly multiplies the impact. It's your own growth and evolution that brings a much higher presence. You bring a higher calibrated presence to the people around you, to our world. You become an even better version of yourself, which means now you are that much more equipped and present to be able to bring that degree of that new level of difference making to the lives of others and to our world.
Yeah, that makes me think about. I just lost track of what I was thinking about, but that makes me think that my impact, my spiritual impact, I have included in my coaching, and I still do. I still coach a handful of people, and I am now, in my older age, I am much more willing to bring into the realm of spiritual impact, and that everything is driven spiritually. And so, depending on who I'm talking to, I have to have a language that they understand. And the spiritual impact, I think, as I told you earlier, my mother tongue is Christianity. And so, but that doesn't mean I can't speak or understand or appreciate other languages, other tongues of different religions, different ways. I'm a great follower of Buddha, and the Buddhist, not so much. Well, yes, Buddha and the Buddha and the Buddhism process, and I think the more we accept and the more we understand different traditions gives us a better impact to speak to people about spiritual impact. Don't you think if we're stuck in one tradition, then not everybody can understand us, and not everybody agrees. There are roadblocks, and when you can be open to divinity, to otherness, otherworldliness, it gives us a much broader means of communicating and encouraging people that there is something going on, a life force energy. I like that. A life force energy that is working with us, and it is, as you have said, conspiring to help us. And we are the ones that get in the way. But because of our fears, our biases, and who knows what all. But once we identify that there is something bigger than ourselves that is moving us, giving us vision, giving us dreams, we're in a much healthier state of mind.
Yeah, and so what I've discovered, what I've observed, throughout my years of doing this as a minister and now in this, that, if the motive is love, regardless of what the path is, if the motive is love, if the motive is true honoring, the person in front of you, if the motive is truly becoming the person that, Spirit asks you to be, the path really becomes irrelevant. And every path can create that experience, right? All paths, when coming from a place of deep connection, love, and expansion, all paths will lead to that. So, and that's where I keep the focus is, what is it to support somebody in really showing up in love and understanding that the nature of their dream is the nature of love. And so I'm grateful that, I've had a variety of clients coming from a variety of different spiritual backgrounds, and when they're dedicated to the expression of love and expression of love by means of their dream, then their path will serve them.
That's a great way to put it. A commitment to the expression of love through the means of your dream. That your dream is an expression of love. And when you understand that, it's life-changing. You know what I want to do? I want to, this is where we're going to go down deep. You write about universal laws and a spiritual system of universal laws, and you alluded to it earlier in our conversation. But can you help us understand what a spiritual system of universal laws is all about?
Yeah, so foundationally, and I love that quantum physics is proving what spiritual masters have taught throughout the ages. And as you said, I've alluded to this throughout our conversation. We live and move and have being in this field of unformed energy. Everything is energy. We generate from energy. We live in energy, and by the same, in the same breath, we have been given this amazing gift of our imagination, where we have the ability to consciously choose images in our imagination. Now, not everybody does it. Here's the thing about what we're running through. Joseph Murphy calls this the movie screen of our mind. As we're running things in our imagination, the movie that we're playing in our imagination, it fires off a physiological response in the form of feeling. Those feelings literally transmit a vibration. Think of this. You walk into a room and there's two people that were just fighting. They may not be engaging. One may be making coffee. The other one may be rummaging in the refrigerator. But you walk into the room and you can feel the tension. In fact, the saying is, you can cut the tension with a knife.
Right.
What are you picking up on? You're picking up on their energy. They are literally emitting an energy. Now, here's where it gets deep. Quantum physics is proving that there is an energy field around us that is responsive, that's generative, that's creative to what we are predominantly transmitting by what we are feeling that's been originally generated in the form of our imagination. That's law. The laws say that what I predominantly think about, this energy is going to organize around. And many people think in terms of the law of attraction, that's the one that they understand. What that people don't understand is that is actually a secondary law. The true law is the law of vibration. The way we are vibrating, what we are emitting from our beingness, what we're putting out there, our world organizes around that, our identity organizes around that, and literally this energy will organize around that and create our experiences and create our lives. So that's foundation in terms of understanding that there are universal laws that create our results, and they are as real and definable as electricity and gravity. And just because we don't know about them doesn't mean that they're not working. I mean, think about it. 500 years ago, people didn't understand the law of gravity. They thought the world was flat, and then they said, well, even if it is round, you get down to the other side, you're going to fall off. They didn't understand gravity, but gravity was still functioning.
Right.
Our awareness of the law of gravity allowed us now to do things like lift these 2, 3, 4 ton machines off the ground and allow us to fly, because we've come to a greater understanding of the law of gravity. But it's always been there. And so it's the same thing. We are just scratching the surface of understanding the power of our imagination and our ability to organize, sorry about that, my dog's barking, organize this energy accordingly, that the energy organizes accordingly. And so understanding our world and energy must organize according to our predominant identity, which we can see by the thoughts that we're thinking. So that's universal law, that we've been given this gift of being able, number one, to think, number two, to choose our thinking, and then to understand that there is literally an energy that organizes according to the predominant pattern of our thought and feeling.
You know what you're going to find fascinating? I study quite a bit St. Bonaventure, who is the primary follower of St. Francis of Assisi. And he is probably, in my opinion, his ideas or his philosophy of the Trinity is just amazing. I think the best that I've ever read. And he takes, you have God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, one being with a plurality of expression. And he says the role of God the Father is to be source, and you know what else? What other word he used? Was energy. This was written in 1250. This was written 1,000 years ago. And that
wow.
God the Father is the source of energy, of supplying energy. So he was so far ahead of his time. But this is a profound thought, and so it just is entirely in line with what you're saying. Now we're closing in on our time, but I have to ask you this question that you have such intriguing statements, and you were talking about imagination. You have also talked to me about being intentional about our imagination. That is such a uniquely grand idea. What do you mean by being intentional about our imagination? Because I believe in imagination. I love imagination. I love creating through imagining, through curiosity and imagination. How can I be intentional about my imagination?
Yeah, so first of all, to understand that most people just allow their imagination to be led around by what's happening outside. right? The conditions of our lives then inform their imagination. As I said earlier, most people use their imagination to terrorize themselves because they believe that what's happening in their world is stronger than the power of imagination. If we really believe that our thinking has something to do with our results, with our lives, with the experience of our lives, and understanding that thinking is actually the use of our imagination. We think in images, and image, we are image-making beings, that when we really understand that that's the point, the genesis, the origin point of all of our life's creation, then we become deeply devoted to being so diligent around what images am I showing in my imagination? What movie am I showing? Because that is that's the vehicle by which my life is being created. I love, Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, stand guard at the portal of your mind. And it's to recognize that I get to choose. I get to choose what I'm showing across the movie screen of my mind. And when I understand that this is more powerful than any factor condition, and this is the point of all change and transformation, then I get super clear, number one, on, so what is it that I would really love? What is my dream? You want a very clear image, a very clear vision of what is it that brings you most alive. That's, the movie that you're seeing in your imagination, and you keep that at the forefront. In the words of Joe Dispenza, that becomes the loudest voice in your head, is your desired outcome rather than the things that you don't want currently. Then you use your imagination. You direct your imagination to intentionally see yourself growing into that person, becoming that person, seeing yourself evolving and transforming as you're living that life. Because it's what you show in your imagination that informs ideas that you're willing to entertain or miss, opportunities that you can see, or again, gloss right over. What you're showing in your imagination informs the kinds of actions that you take, the way in which you take those actions, and the level of good that you allow yourself to receive. It all starts in our imagination. And when you understand that's the key, it's the key to freedom, then you will devote your life to learning how to use your imagination effectively and show in your imagination those things that empower you to live the life that you are created to live.
That is so true. And, unfortunately, we label and categorize, and we have labeled and categorized imagination and creativity to the art world. It is the painter, the sculptor, the writer. It's rarely do we think of creativity and imagination in the business world. And, I think of two individuals really quickly. I think of Steve Jobs, and no matter what you think of his politics, but I think of Elon Musk. Just who has a greater imagination than Elon Musk? Colonizing Mars, cars that don't require gasoline, solar power, all for the good of society. Elon Musk is all about the good of society. Now, I don't know that much about his personness. I know he's so genius that he's different than everybody else. But that is imagination that we can. If we're running a business and our own personal business, it is an act of imagination, is it not? That I imagine what I want to do, and I follow that and honor that imagination, and lo and behold, so often it becomes reality. But I must honor that. It will
always become reality when we work with the law, right? When we're working with the law, it will always become reality. And so, and it's not just our business. It's our health, it's our relationships, it's our freedom on our calendar, that to understand that the point of power always starts with our imagination. And, it's interesting. You talk about Elon Musk. Think about Leonardo da Vinci. Oh. He had drawings of submarines. He had drawings of a flying machine that if he would have gotten caught with those at that time and place, he very easily would have been excommunicated or, put under house arrest. So he allowed himself to go to places that were actually almost like illegal. And here we are, right? Complaining if the Wi-Fi's down on the airplane. That it's just, you can tell I fly a lot. That it's become so, it's our normal, it's our routine. That's a transformation. We will never go back to being a earthbound society again. That we've transformed, and he had the ability to see it 500-600 years before it came into form.
Oh.
So that's what we're being asked to do. We're being asked in our own each individual way to allow a new, bold possibility to reveal itself in the realm of our imagination, and to tap into this life force energy in a way that allows us to really begin to entertain it, even in spite of what may be going on in our world, to understand that the power of our imagination is stronger than whatever the conditions may be going on in your life right now. And that when you dedicate yourself to that, you're tapping into something so much bigger, and you're transforming you and you're transforming your results. And it takes courage. It takes courage to let yourself dream into these new possibilities for yourself.
And how fun. How fun. You're reminding me of, we have covered in this show the final book in the trilogy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. His last book was Life, the Universe, and Everything. And I think that should be the title of this show, is Life, the Universe, and Everything. And understanding it is just... And we are, I've titled the show, Turn Your Dreams into Real Life. And that comes from you, and I think it's brilliant. Felicia Searcy, you are the best. It is so fun chatting with you. Tell me, I will have a link to your website. Is there any other way that you would like people to get more information about you, or is that the best source to get that?
Well, I actually have a bit of a gift. We've been talking a lot about the power of vision, and so I put together like a visioning toolkit where I've written out very specific instructions on how to write a vision. I've created a meditation for you to listen deeply. And then I've created a daily routine, a process that you go through every morning and every evening to know what to do with your vision and how to engage and relate to this new possibility as you move about your day. That's my gift. It's almost like a mini course. Well, it is like a mini course. And that's my gift. And so just go to FeliciaSearcy.com/spiritual success. And you can grab hold of that, download it, and let it serve you.
/ what was that?
Spiritual success.
My typing is slowing me down. Spiritual success. Okay, excellent. We will make sure we put that on the show notes. I can't wait to publish a show, and I can't wait to hear what it's all about. I want to listen to it again myself. Felicia,
thank you, Charlie. It's been great.
Yeah, you are really an amazing asset. I can see why you're such a successful coach, is that you are offering people hope, and that they are already okay. You said somewhere that you're living into who you already are. You're just recognizing it perhaps for the first time. And I think that's brilliant. So thank you so much for being on the show with me. You are a delight.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. I really appreciate you having me here.
Thank you. And I also want to thank our listeners for tuning into the next chapter with Charlie. And until next, this is Charlie Hedges signing off. Bye for now.